All right, from a tech perspective, are we good? Thumbs up. Just want to make sure people online can hear us as well. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Kelly. I am the Chief Communications Officer here at Recursion. On behalf of all of our Recursionauts here, thank you so much for being here today. It is a true honor and pleasure to be hosting such an important part of the community for Rare Disease Day. So thank you all so much for coming. And before we begin, I just want to call out, this takes a village. So I wanted to represent the village of people that are supporting this day. We are just so thrilled with the turnout. I think when we started planning this, we said, if we can get 30 people to show up to support, that would be just a win. And by the time we pushed out the press release, we actually had to shut off for invites to come here to Recursion, which I think is saying something huge about this community and how important it is to Salt Lake City. And so thank you all for being here today in person. Please feel free to come in, grab a seat. There's still a couple seats left. And then thank you all online for coming and participating as well. And so unfortunately, our CEO, Chris Gibson, can't be here today. He is mid-flight right now, but Recursion started in rare disease, and it's a really important part of who we are. It's in our DNA. And so on behalf of Chris and everyone else, I just wanted to share this video, and he just wanted to send his regards. So on to Chris.
Hello and welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Gibson and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Recursion. I want to extend a really warm welcome to each and every one of you. I'm so sorry I can't be there in person today. I'm actually currently on an airplane over the ocean. Well, currently I'm recording this in advance, but during this event, I'll be on an airplane over the ocean. And given the amount of people that have RSVP'd and are here tonight, there may not have been space for me anyway in the conference room. So I am so excited for the event you all are having. I'm so humbled that we're going to be hosting this event in our space, and so grateful to all of those of you who've come out to support one another and this special community right here in Salt Lake City. You know, rare disease is where Recursion started, and rare disease patients hold an extraordinarily special place in my heart, including amazing young people like Ava who are speaking today, and others who have their pictures in our building from the very early days at Recursion. I'm always humbled and inspired by the strength and resilience of patients and their families who face extraordinary challenges every day. And for our company, it's about so much more than just discovering new drugs or developing new medicines and the science behind it. It's really about transforming the lives of patients and their families and alleviating suffering at scale. And events like this are critical for our community. Biology is extraordinarily complex and science is super, super hard, which means the work we are doing is not easy. But everyone at Recursion is deeply committed to finding better solutions for patients at scale. And it is the mission of my career and so many other Recursionauts to deliver on that mission. We know that when patients are sick, all that matters is getting better, and we are driven every day by the desire to make a real difference in their lives and the lives of their loved ones, all of you. So I appreciate you all being here today. We all appreciate you being here today. We have an incredible lineup of speakers from BioHive, our rare disease community, and other partners. I hope that this event will be a source of connection, support, and inspiration for all of you, and that it will be just the beginning of many, many, many more to come. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your time at Recursion, and I hope to see all of you face-to-face sometime very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Past Chris. We can clap for Past Chris. That's okay. And again, thank you all for being here, and we're just so excited. And we're going to keep going.
Hello and welcome.
Nope, not in that direction. But we're going to invite Amy Edwards up, the Executive Director of BioHive. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, good evening. I'm Amy Edwards, as he mentioned, Executive Director of BioHive. On behalf of the life science community in Utah, we'd like to welcome you tonight. In partnership with BioUtah, we represent the life science industry and community. BioHive really began with the support of BioUtah approximately a year and a half ago to do exactly what we're doing tonight. to bring together the community, to educate, to generate awareness, and to advance and the advancements of Utah to provide support for one another and belonging. And really, it's to build brand and bring together the life science community. The industry in Utah is really flourishing. What began with medical device companies in Utah is now one of the fastest growing industries in Utah. We have 1,300 companies, including medical devices, diagnostics, therapeutics, biotech, and medical labs. We represent 13 billion indirect and direct GDP. That's 8% of the state's GDP. And a diverse growing workforce. 7.2% of the workforce is actually in life sciences. There's 538 bioscience related patents. And what does this really mean? I mean, if you look at it, what does it mean? It really means more innovation, education, and training. And for us, ensuring rare disease patients have access to healthcare providers, services, treatments that they need to thrive, as well as the benefits and the community support. And this is such an important community for the life science here in Utah. So we appreciate you being here. Together, we will take on challenges, provide a safe space to find solutions, and build the ecosystem to better the lives for individuals and families. And we're just getting started. We're pleased that we could play a small part in bringing Rare Disease Day here to Recursion. And thank you to all the many partners that were included on that slide. Gina and Nicole and Ryan, who's been instrumental in making sure that we could bring everyone together tonight. Thank you for your hard work to make this event come to fruition. And thank you all for being here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And with that, we are going to bring up Kelvin to introduce one of our main speakers for the day. Thank you, Kelvin.
Thank you. What a pleasure it is for me to be here. We in the life sciences industry take great pride in trying to produce products and solutions that will help people that are struggling with rare disease. And it's very important to us. Obviously, it's our lifeblood. So we appreciate very much the opportunity to be involved with you. And before I introduce our speaker, I would like to take a minute and recognize a couple of people who are here. We are very pleased to have representatives from our congressional delegation who have taken an interest in the rare disease community. Several who could not be here, but those who are here, we'd like to recognize, particularly those from Senator Mike Lee's office and Representative Chris Stewart's office. Rob Axon, who is the state director for Senator Lee, is joining us via Zoom. He thought he could be here on time, but he said Zoom is going to have to be. And then Derek Anderson, the communications specialist for Senator Lee, will be here in person. If he's not already, he'll be here shortly. And we hope to see him around 5:30. He said he wanted to pass my comments, then he would show up. So, and we also have Rhonda Perks here, who is the outreach coordinator for Representative Stewart. Rhonda, raise your hand back there. Nice to have you here. We appreciate that very much. We thank all for being here and recognizing the rare disease community, importance of that community within the state of Utah. Now, they've asked me to introduce somebody that needs no introduction in this group, but I'm going to do it anyway because she's deserving of the recognition. Nobody works harder at the rare disease community issues than Gina. And I think we all know that. Yeah. It's been my privilege to get to know Gina because BioUtah has been tasked by the Department of Health to be in charge of the Rare Disease Advisory Council, which is a new development in the last couple of years to advise the state on rare disease issues. And Gina is our vice chair, and she is incredible. I've never been anybody who does more and thinks she does less. But Gina is the co-founder and executive director for Rare and Undiagnosed Network, or known as RUN, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. She also serves, as I mentioned, as the vice chair of our Rare Disease Advisory Council. as well as the lead on the RDAC's Stakeholder Partnership Work Group. She's also on the Legislative Policy Work Group and many others, but she didn't put those on her resume here. Gina and her 3 children all live with an undiagnosed rare disease. She continues to empower undiagnosed and rare patients and their families with genomic information and community through advocacy, networking, and support. Gina is a member of the Undiagnosed Disease Network International, and she serves as a patient advocacy advisor on RareX. She is a board member of the Metrodor Institute's Foundation as well. And we could go on and on. Each of you could probably come up here and tell a story about your involvement with Gina. And we think she is wonderful. So Gina, come on up.
He's going to start me off crying. I thought I would get at least 2 sentences in before I started to cry.
We also have tissues everywhere. So if anyone needs tissues.
So next slide, please. Okay, there. Oh, back 1 slide then. I guess we're missing that. That's okay. You redid that one. All right. So good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. And thank you, Kelvin, for that very nice introduction. I also would like to take a moment, and hopefully I do this without the tears. And I'm looking around at the faces here that I see tonight. I'm trying to read it so I don't go off on a long crying. I missed you guys, the ones that are here that we haven't seen each other in 3 years. Thank you. Season just landed from Africa and is here. So thank you, Season, and your family. My heart is overflowing with love and gratitude. And a huge thank you to Recursion, to Chris Gibson on the plane, and Ryan, Susan, Janine, Jenna, for putting this event together so quickly. As we said, it usually takes us about a year to do an event like this, and we did it in what, 6 to 8 weeks, guys? Thank you to the entire planning committee. And I could go on and on about how special tonight is for me and for my family, but I am here to talk about the RDAC. As Calvin mentioned, I'm the mother of 3 undiagnosed rare disease children, Ava, Oscar, and Lucy, and I am also undiagnosed. I am also known to the Utah Jazz to be the wife of the general manager, Justin Zanuck, and go Jazz tonight, babe. And my oldest daughter, Ava, will be speaking on the panel in a few minutes. So now next slide. And I'm really curious. I was looking at all the hashtags for Rare Disease Day today, and I didn't see one other declaration from a governor. So I was really curious, and it is an honor to show this tonight. And the governor's, I don't know, it's pretty humbling when the governor signs a declaration for Rare Disease Day. We've had a couple years off with COVID, and I actually spoke with the governor at an event with Justin last week. And he made it very clear to Justin and I that the rare and undiagnosed community is very important to him and to his family. And he has ties to the rare disease community through his family. So it's personal for him too. So I think that's really cool for the state of Utah. Next slide, please. Yeah. Sorry that I'm so short that you can't. I would have worn my heels, but I fell and bruised both my kneecaps a couple days ago. So Justin said no heels. So I'll go like this. So this is the, well, again, like I'm here to talk about the RDAC. So I'm here to talk about the RDAC, our rare disease community, as well as a brief, very brief version of our story, because most of you know that, as a caretaker, a patient, and an advocate, and why the RDAC is so important to our rare community. But I love this photo. This is Matt Pearl and his sister, and they both have a rare disease. And Matt's actually in DC, so he isn't here tonight, but he's a member of the RDAC. And wonderful. Matt does a lot of work for the rare disease community in Utah and around the country. So in 2020, the Utah legislature established the Rare Disease Advisory Council, the RDAC, Utah Code, and I practice this word with Ava, annotated section 26-1-41, to advise the state legislature and state agency on improving access to treatment and services provided to individuals with a rare disease, and identify best practices to improve the care and treatment of individuals in the state with a rare disease. The RDAC is housed, as Kelvin said, as an independent advisory board under the Utah Department of Health and Human Services. Members include researchers, physicians, rare disease patients, caregivers, representatives from rare disease organizations. And I'd like to give a special thank you to Dr. Lorenzo Bato, who is not here tonight. He is out of the country at a conference, but he would have been here if he was in town. I'd also like to give a special thanks to Kelvin and Denise from BioUtah, but I mean, how many emails, guys, are we doing every week right now? And I also know, I think Marion first was going to attend. There she is in the pink. Marion, raise your hand a little bit. You deserve a round of applause for Marion for this. Marion leads the legislative work group, and we've gotten to know each other very well as well. And as a rare disease patient, we sometimes say, the two of us are sick on our own, and the hours that we spend, it's a lot on us. And I'm really, really proud of the work you're doing, Marion. And I think Sylvia Lamb was going to be here tonight. Is Sylvia here? Okay, if she didn't miss, but she was going to. Sylvia, Marion, Calvin, Denise, and I all work together on the stakeholder partnership work group, along with Troy Evans and Matt Pearl. Golson Lyons, I saw you are here today. There he is, he's in the back. A round of applause for Golson. He's our secretary. For the RDAC and our co-lead for data work group. Pinar, if you are here, I'm going to say your name, Barak Todemir, are you here? Okay, you hit it, RSVP. So there, thank you all for coming. It means a lot to us. This is my little pitch. Kelvin and I talked about, we are looking to add members, active members that want to be on the RDAC. And we're looking for, they can be voting members or non-voting members. And we'd really like to add someone with legal background or that have worked on policy before. So please reach out to myself or to Kelvin, Denise, Marion, and any of us, Golson, or an email Lorenzo if you're interested in that. So next slide, please. And I'm going to give these statistics, but most of you in the room know these very well. As most of you know, rare diseases are present across a broad spectrum of medical conditions, from immune deficiencies and genetic disorders to cancers and more. An estimated 1 in 10 Utahns, or an estimated 350,000 women, men, and children in our state are suffering from a rare disease. I just take a moment every time I read that number. Rare disease is considered a condition with less than 200,000 patients. More than 7,000 rare diseases are known. Nicole, we need to update that to 10,000. Yes, I was working on that on the RDAC and I lost. So we've got to work on updating. There's actually papers written that we're at 10,000. The average length of time from an onset of recognition symptoms to diagnosis of a rare disease in the US is 8 years. Ava looked at me and said, well, what? We're at what, 12, 13 right now? Today, 95% of rare disease have no treatment. Whether it is an immune deficiency, a rare cancer, or a genetic disorder, medical care for a rare disease is chronic and costly, and we all know that. Moreover, although the FDA has approved hundreds of drugs for rare diseases, most conditions do not have an FDA-approved treatment. Drugs, biologic, and device development in rare disease is challenging for many reasons, including complex biology, the lack of understanding of many rare disorders, and the absence of financial motivation due to small market sizes. Next slide, please. There and go like this, and Ryan said just bullet point, like that was a good idea because there's a lot. So a ban on copay accumulator programs, COVID-19 public health guidelines, access to vaccines and treatments, access to gene therapy, access to genetic testing, Medicaid expansion, medical nutrition and newborn screening, access to medical records, pharmacy benefit managers, access to telehealth services, voter ballot access. The policy guide will be updated from time to time, addressing other issues affecting the rare disease community. We are grateful to the legislature for providing us this opportunity through the RDAC to help lawmakers and other stakeholders better understand and address the challenges and needs of the constituency. That word I can't say. Try that word 3 times. The guide is a compilation of policy statements on issues of critical importance to Utah's rare disease patients, their families, and caregivers. Those who live with rare diseases may face reduced quality of life. It's a hard one. Due to the lack or loss of autonomy caused by chronic, progressive, degenerative, and life-threatening aspects of many rare diseases. Next slide, please. The RDAC was established by the Utah State Legislature with a mission to provide an in-depth understanding about rare disease for government officials and policymakers. The goal is to address barriers in resources, proper treatments, and care. The guide's policy statements support the mission of the RDAC and provide a roadmap for taking steps that will help Utahns with rare diseases lead full and healthy lives. The guide is a dynamic document. We're really proud of it, right, Denise? And all of us took a lot of work. Policies will be modified or added as appropriate. So that's about the RDAC. Now, why is the RDAC important to my family and to the community? Next slide, please. You guys recognize my babies? That was a long time ago. Season took that in 2015, but it's still going to permanently be Ron's face. And now, why is it important? As I mentioned earlier, I have 3 children that suffer from an undiagnosed autonomic neuropathy, an undiagnosed genetic dysfunction, dysautonomia, POTS, small fiber neuropathy, and many more syndrome symptoms and diagnoses. The problem is that we don't know the why. We have no treatments and we have no hope or a possibility of a cure. All we do is treat the symptoms, right, Ava and Lucy? Ava is now 15 years old, Oscar is 13 years old, and Lucy is 11 years old. We have been on this journey for 12 years. We have been to 10 hospitals in 8 different states over the years. We have seen over 100 specialists, and we do not have the answers for the root cause of our children's health concerns. I'm going to let Ava speak about her journey on the panel tonight. I'm going to move on to why RUN is important. The Rare and Undiagnosed Network was born out of love and has created a local, national, international network for our community. In 2019, we worked with Box Elder County Commissioner Stan Summers and his wife Jen, as well as Representative Lee Perry at the time, to create the RDAC. Ava was with Representative Lee Perry when he originally presented and had it pass on the floor of House of Representatives. Senator Luz Escamilla helped with it as well. They all have ties to the rare disease community. This is very personal for our family as well as the entire rare and undiagnosed community. And in closing, the members of the RDAC are passionate and hardworking. And I keep saying, we just have this pure of heart and we believe in our mission. And again, our mission is to advise the state legislator and state agencies on improving access to treatment and services provided to individuals with a rare disease, make recommendations to legislator and state agency on improving access to treatments and services provided to individuals with a rare disease, and identify best practices to improve the care and treatment of individuals in the state with a rare disease. Thank you for your support of the RDAC and our entire rare and undiagnosed community. And if you are interested in becoming an active member of the RDAC, please reach out to myself and Lorenzo. Thank you all, and thank you, Recursion.
Thank you so much, Gina. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, we have a really special treat for everyone here, and we've already gone over the rules. So I'm a chief communications officer, and we have a very special panel this evening of advocates that we're going to bring up. And we've already gone over how to hold the microphone, and more importantly, that you're speaking to an audience that has their full support of you. And so it's really nice when you're up there public speaking that you have a room full of people, no matter what happens, no matter what you say, they are going to clap loudly and be very supportive of you, right, everybody? Right? Yes. Excellent. So we're actually going to bring up Nicole Boyce to introduce this amazing panel of Utah Rare advocates. So Nicole, take it away. Your microphone's right there.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. My name is Nicole Boyce. First of all, I want to thank the planning committee for all the work to get this done. I will tell you, I'm a new transplant to Utah. And one of the things that Gina and I spoke about several months ago was something that I recognized in moving here. And I kind of saw that several years ago when before COVID and Utah Rare was active, which we didn't have in California. I know for those online that might be from California, I'm sorry to say this, but there's this amazing sense of pride and community here that is pretty unique. And all of the individuals, the biopharma, the researchers, the University of Utah, Intermountain Health, the patient advocates, are for the friends, the supporters. It's pretty extraordinary. And to think right now in this room, we have everyone here together, regardless of what side of the business that you're on. If you're in the biotech sector or you're a government official, everyone's here because you take a lot of pride and you care deeply and are so passionate and compassionate about the needs of our friends and our loved ones in rare disease. And so I'm so honored to be here. I'll do a quick intro and then tell you my why, and then we'll get to the most important part of this, which I'm humbled to be here introducing this extraordinary panel. My name is Nicole Boyce. Again, I'm the Chief Mission Officer of now a combined 2 nonprofits that I founded, Global Genes way back in 2008, which is an advocacy organization, more of an umbrella for rare disease advocates. And I'll tell you why I started that very quickly in a second. And then RareX, which spun out of Global Genes and now went back to the mothership, which is really tools to help support patient advocates that are really driving early research for their diseases, which is really critical in the world of rare disease. My why and why I started Global Genes was 20 years ago, 21 years ago, actually, in Southern California. My dear friend's son was born with extra fingers and toes, bowed bones. He wasn't progressing. He was in the hospital for the first 6 months of his life and was sent home, which I know many people can relate to, with no prognosis and no diagnosis. Over the next 4 years, being involved in some of the early intervention centers around town, my dear friend Kelly and Daryl and their adorable son Derek had a fluke diagnosis by a physical therapist of Joubert syndrome. Derek was born without part of his brain. How that was missed, I don't know. We're smack in the middle of some of the best healthcare in the world. That was my why. I actually got really angry. I saw how devastated the family was 20 years ago. It was a different place in the world of rare disease. There wasn't a lot of support. And I saw personally how important it was for her and their family to be connected to others. And like I said, the sense of community like you have here, it wasn't so easy back in California. So that was kind of my catalyst and my why, is I saw that maybe there was a need for us to start looking at ways to bring families together in a different way. And then over the last several years, obviously 20 years is a long time, the role and responsibilities and opportunities of rare advocates like all of you has evolved and changed. And so Global Genes really just is trying to be an enabling, convening organization that helps support patients and coming together, educating about what opportunities are out there to be involved in, lean in on, et cetera, et cetera. And it's through that organization that I've had the good fortune of sitting at the table with the amazing Gina and Brenz, who's in the back, who is also a Utah Rare co-founder, and just in season, it's been an amazing journey. So without further ado, again, I just really wanted to say how honored I am to not only be here within the Utah rare disease community now, but more importantly, is I'm excited and honored to introduce this next panel. So I think the way that we are rolling is that I'm going to introduce you each, and you're going to go and you're going to come sit in, and then I'm going to turn the mic over to you all once you're all up there. Did that make sense? Okay, good. Okay. For my old eyes now. So our first speaker tonight, who will join us up in the red chair, is Ethan Bruns. Ethan is 18. He's a sophomore. He is a sophomore majoring in biology with an emphasis in genetics at the U. He was admitted to the Science Research Initiative and is currently working in a lab studying bee genomics. His goal is to continue at the U and complete an academic degree in biology and genetics, then to work for a biotech. Where's Chris Gibson right now? Focusing on developing gene therapy treatments. His interest in genetics began at the age of 8 when he was diagnosed with an ultra rare genetic disease called AHUS, or atypical hemolytic uremic, is that right, syndrome. He's been a speaker at events by Utah Rare, Alexion Pharmaceuticals, University of Utah, School of Medicine's Pediatric Interest Group, and the Rare and Undiagnosed Network. Outside of school, Ethan enjoys spending time with family and friends, traveling, film photography. Did I get that right? Okay. Welcome and thank you for being here. You're pretty darn amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna now, wait, how are we doing this? Okay, I'm introducing them all to come up first, right?
Yes,
Ryan?
absolutely.
Okay, Ryan's the
Thanks,
boss,
Nicole.
so, okay.
Just here
Our
to serve.
second, okay, second panel is Rachel. Rachel's. Rachel's been married for 3 years to her high school sweetheart. She's returning to college this summer with the hopes of becoming an RN. Rachel wants to work in pediatrics and be an advocate for children with rare disease. Rachel has been a member of the Rare and Undiagnosed Network since she was diagnosed with mitochondrial depletion syndrome and many other rare diseases. At the age of 16, that's when all of this was uncovered. She has participated in rare awareness events in the Utah Capitol, Make-A-Wish of Utah, sent her to New York, where she watched the Phantom of the Opera and Wicked. Rachel loves creating calligraphy art, spending time with her family, attending musicals and Disneyland. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Our third panelist is the one and only Ava, age 15. Yes. She's a freshman at Skyline High School in Salt Lake City. She was born a healthy child and hit all of her milestones early. At the age of 3, they found an arachnoid cyst, and later at age 5, she was diagnosed with an undiagnosed genetic dysfunction, undiagnosed autonomic neuropathy, and more. Ava immediately had 4 cranial surgeries due to subdural hygroma and is now shunt dependent. And yet you're still so beautiful. Ava continues to search for answers for the root cause of her disease processes. Her mother and 2 siblings all have undiagnosed rare diseases we heard earlier. Ava is on the advisory board of the Rare and Undiagnosed Network. She has spoken publicly at the state capitol and at the University of Utah Health to the freshman classes of medical students. She's a patient, a caregiver, and an advocate. And although Ava's disease process has hindered many of her physical abilities, it has given her the opportunity to see life through a more empathetic lens. Ava is talented at writing, drawing, and swimming. She enjoys singing and her guitar. She's part of the Congress debate team at school, and she loved to spend time with family and friends. Thank you, Ava. Last but not least, Kingston. Kingston is 14. He lives in Orem, Utah, and is in 9th grade at Lake Ridge Junior High. Kingston excels in school and received high honor roll last semester. He's a friend to all and an amazing son and brother. Kingston loves to ski, play basketball, travel, and hang out with his brother and cousins. Kingston has been a part of the rare and undiagnosed community since he was born. His older sister was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder when he was very young. Kingston has participated in many rare awareness events, as well as helping his mom with her nonprofit to showcase rare. A lot of the beautiful photographs that you see around this room are actually from Kingston's mom, Season, who was introduced earlier, and thank you for your extraordinary work. Life with a sister that had a lot of special needs is always difficult. Kingston, however, became one of the best caregivers she could have ever asked for. This experience has given Kingston empathy, patience, knowledge, experience, and the ability to care and befriend those around him that need special attention. What a gift. Thank you, Kingston. So without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Ethan.
Hello, hello. Hi. So I don't know if you know, my name is Ethan Bruns, and I introduce myself as a student at the University of Utah, studying biology with an emphasis in genetics, but you already heard that. And so my story is that when I was 8 years old, I was just like any other healthy kid with no issues. The biggest worry on my mind was what I was going to build in Minecraft or what Lego set I was going to get next, just completely normal. One Monday morning, I got what my family thought was the stomach flu. 48 hours later, I was in the ER at Primary Children's Hospital with my kidneys in failure and some of my organs also beginning to fail. Complete drastic change. I was admitted that night and spent the next 30 days getting constant blood transfusions and getting daily dialysis. It was a time of just complete uncertainty to me. I had no clue what was going on, and all right in the middle of third grade. I was diagnosed with atypical HUS, hemolytic uremic syndrome, a complement-mediated rare disease. Also, just 2 weeks ago was the 10-year anniversary of me getting out of the hospital. I don't know if I should call that an anniversary or not, but so that's fun. I was doing much better thanks to a recently approved FDA treatment. And so, but because of that, for almost 8 years after, I came down to primaries about every 2 weeks for an infusion. 2 years ago, that changed to a new drug that's every 8 weeks, but I still go down every 8 weeks to go to the hospital. I get an IV and then I sit for about an hour and a half. This diagnosis changed my life over the past 10 years in so many different ways, but I like to think that it ignited a passion and a purpose within me. I honestly feel more driven, especially now entering college where I can be in classes I actually enjoy. I feel like I have more of a purpose than I did ever before in my life. And so I'm kind of talking about what this disease has given me, like the mentality it set me up to. The first thing that I'd say it did was that it taught me how to live my life more, that I should just appreciate more things, just be more spontaneous, do things that I like. I mean, in 48 hours, I went from feeling sick to being in the ER, and that taught me that things can change drastically so that you should live how you want to live. And to have fun, care for others, golden rule. And sorry, I'm aware of, and this also made me aware of how many rare diseases are in the world and opened up my eyes to a whole new world I thought possible. I never would have thought I'd be sitting here at a rare disease symposium at 8 years old, or even probably now at my age if I hadn't been diagnosed at all. And although it has been difficult in times, this has also taught me what it means to be resilient, how to adapt to sudden change and overcome challenges in my life. Me and my mom joke that it's prepared me for college level classes of biology 5,000 something. So, I mean, midterms are just happened, and that taught me resilience in itself. And like jumping back to when I first got sick, as an 8-year-old kid, I wanted to be a helicopter pilot, an astronaut, whatever I saw in the most recent movie. I don't remember what. But that all immediately changed when I was diagnosed. I realized that I'm sick. It's because of my genes. How can I fix that? And so since I was probably 8 or 9, I've always wanted to go into genetics, which is the least 8-year-old thing I can think of at this moment. And I like to say that I was always passionate about science, and as you heard in my bio, my dream is to work in gene therapy, working on treatments and possibilities. I feel like I have that understanding, and I want to help with that. And it's kind of given me more purpose in my schoolwork, because knowing that I can work hard, get a degree, find a job, and apply these things to my experiences that I've already had to hopefully better the lives of others, which sounds really exciting to me. And I'm really excited when I think about how far science has come and just how much further it can go. I have a deep passion for genetics, which is as weird as it sounds, and gene therapy, just because of the incredible potential that it has. You already heard, I'm currently part of the Science Research Initiative at the University of Utah, and I'm in a lab studying bee pollen metagenomics. Just last week, we got a new sequence of samples, and it's been really fun and exciting going over that, as I guess weird as that sounds. And it's just been my time working I've realized that working in labs, being in that environment has been really exciting to me. It's something that I feel like I've almost always wanted to do. And I just, like I said, I feel now that I have a much higher drive and a much higher purpose than I have had in probably the past 10 years since my diagnosis. And it's taught me that I know firsthand exactly how much of a drug can change a life, and I want to give that opportunity to others. I'm very proud to be part of the rare disease community, to be here with these amazing advocates and all of you here today. If a rare disease is going to define me, then let it define me as someone who is resilient, someone who is determined, someone who's driven by passion and purpose, and living that life to the fullest because I got that second chance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ethan. I think you're officially the coolest person that I know now. And we will definitely have to get your resume for Recursion. We'll do a lab tour later if you got some time. Very cool. Now I'd like to bring up Rachel Nielsen to speak. And I am sorry if the PowerPoint is a little wonky, but come on up. Rachel, give her a round of applause.
Hi, I'm gonna try and not speak too fast, but I'm a little bit nervous, so it might happen anyways. But hello, my name is Rachel Wasden. Well, Nielsen's my maiden name, Wasden's my married name. I'm 23 years old and I've been chronically ill for 8 years now. I grew up relatively healthy until about age 14. There were signs throughout my childhood that something else was going on, but we always wrote the symptoms off as short-term illnesses, or doctors hoped that it was just growing pains. Some symptoms I thought were just normal because I had lived with them my whole life. And so I just never knew to bring those up to my parents or doctors, such as like throwing up in my mouth and swallowing it. Gross. But nothing was ever unmanageable or super serious. However, it became very apparent when I stopped being able to hold any food or drink down after getting a virus in Zion's National Park in 2015, that this was not something that was just going to go away. Since then, I have had countless tests, scans, blood draws, procedures, surgeries, ER visits, and hospital stays. It would be impossible to accurately express my medical journey to you today, so please bear with me while I attempt to try and let you in on a little bit of what my life has been like since it seemingly changed overnight. I've been diagnosed with mitochondrial depletion syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, and multiple gastrointestinal disorders, which essentially amount to my digestive system not functioning properly. I've had multiple genetic anomalies found, such as a mutation in my FLNC gene and one of the genes that can affect how your body senses pain, or SCN11A. It has not been an easy journey. I wish I could deliver to you all a story tied up with a bow, but I don't have a cure for my illnesses and I'm still searching for answers. But I think it's that very reason that I was so excited to be speaking here today. Before I got really sick, I used to think of doctors and the medical system as magic. You would make an appointment, the doctor would come in, talk to you for 5 minutes, maybe do a physical, and then voila, you'd have a diagnosis and a treatment, and you'd be feeling better in no time. And for all purposes, that was magic. But as I got more seriously ill with a mysterious diagnosis, that image was very quickly shattered. For the first few months of being sick, I would hear all these stories of people being cured of their own illnesses, and everyone had their own miracle fix, a specific juice cleanse that worked for them, meditation, acupuncture, yoga, and believe me, I tried them all. Oftentimes, I would also hear people talking about their very own miracle doctor or the doctor who saved their lives. And for years, I've been waiting for my miracle doctor. And I've learned they are there if you can find them and if they take the time to see you. Don't get me wrong. Doctors, nurses, lab techs, etc., are all very smart and can do amazing things. They keep communities and people as healthy as they can. They work long, tiring, endless shifts, and they arguably have one of, if not the one, hardest job because the lives of the people around them are in their hands. The whole medical system are warriors. They get up and get ready to save lives every day, and that's amazing. But I found when it comes to anything they don't know about, the words "I don't know" can feel like poison on their tongues. Somehow they have to admit to you that they can't help you or they don't know how. And I can imagine that's tough. But I can not count the number of doctors who have written me off because I'm a young female struggling with anxiety or body image, or I might just be causing my illnesses myself, all because they didn't have the answer and needed to justify their position. But I can count on one hand the number of doctors who believed me when I said I was suffering. One, hold on, let me fix my slides. We're going to skip that one. One, the doctor who initially saved my life when I was literally starving to death because I could not digest anything. The two doctors in Wisconsin who headed a team of physicians to finally get me diagnosed 3 years into the journey. The fourth who took over my care as I transitioned from pediatric care to adults. And no one really wanted me because I was so complex. And 5, Metrodora, the ones who give me hope that there's more out there than just symptom management. My heart was never broken by the doctor who could look me in the face and recognize the battle I was going through and tell me that even though they didn't know what was going on, they were going to try and figure it out with me. But I have been poked, prodded, scanned, and scoped. Those scans and tests have come back abnormal, and I have still been sent to therapy to retrain my brain to fix my body. I've even been sent to an eating disorder rehab program to try and fix my stomach and intestinal dysmotility disorders. And when I still couldn't keep down any of the food, it was insinuated that I might be making it up or I didn't want to get better. And after I got out of that 5-week hospital stay, because there was nothing else they could do for me there, the physician who I trusted was directed to stop giving me care by a superior. I understand that it is impossible to ever expect any one doctor to know everything about every illness, and I don't expect that. I would rather have my doctor tell me they don't know what's going on than to make me feel as though I can't trust my body. Even now, I will sometimes second guess any signal that my body sends me because I will ask myself, what if those doctors were right? Even after a team of doctors diagnosed me with gastroparesis, multiple motility tests proved reverse motion in my intestinal tract, and I had to get most of my colon removed because I had completely stopped working, I'm still haunted sometimes with the thought that I could be causing all of this to myself. And that torments me. I've been able to overcome most of those thoughts due to the years of opposite proof I've collected. But as I'm sure you can imagine, it's a horrible feeling to have placed on you. And there may be some who think there is no harm in asking a patient to second guess what they're feeling. Could it be anxiety? Is this a psychosomatic syndrome? But I would like to challenge that. I have had a friend, while actively going septic, be told that they weren't sick enough to have sepsis and be sent home from the ER, only to end up going back to the hospital in an ambulance and getting intubated in the ICU because her symptoms were written off just hours earlier. The next time she was septic, she waited days to go into the hospital and ended up with septic emboli in her lungs that left them damaged for the rest of her life. I've had the phrase psychosomatic syndrome written and recorded on my chart before, and it has temporarily barred me from life-saving care, and it has even barred me simply from having GI care. I know that psychosomatic syndromes are real, but I would challenge doctors to exhaust other options before labeling a patient. When doctors label someone, they can walk away and go home, but the patient has to live with it and its consequences. And I know for a fact that I'm not the only one who's been treated this way and fallen through the cracks in the system. I have 2 close friends who have passed away and were treated similarly. I have developed chronic medical PTSD from being mistreated, and yet I still believe there are good doctors who want to make my life better, who hear the hoofbeats, as the saying goes, and consider that I may actually be the rare zebra instead of the regular horse. I still admire the medical field and, like you guys heard, want to be a nurse one day so that I can make a difference, like many of our nurses and doctors are making today. And I personally believe that it's because I admire the medical profession so much that I want to point out where it's broken. You can't fix something, name the problem, and you can't name the problem if you don't want to look at it or acknowledge it. I know physicians first seek to do no harm, and some think it is less harmful to tell a patient they may be causing their own symptoms than to possibly have to perform invasive procedures on them. And I know it can come from a good place, but that doesn't mean that it isn't negatively affecting patients who don't fit in the easily diagnosed boxes. I also know patients who are scared to say they've had negative experiences with the system because they don't want it to impact their care. But someone has to speak up about it. And just as I've been mistreated, I have also met medical staff who completely changed my life. The nurses that crack a joke in my hospital room, the ones who validate my pain, are the ones who I will remember. I distinctly remember being in the hospital for the millionth time, and the infectious disease physician came in to brief me on the plan going forward. I wasn't expecting anything besides the usual when the doctor seemed to stop and think for a moment. He then very tenderly said, "You have a very heavy weight on your shoulders. You're in a tough position, and I can't imagine how you're feeling. I'm sorry this keeps happening." I was floored. I could not muster a response for what felt like an awkward amount of time to not respond in a conversation. But when I did respond, tears welled in my eyes, and I stuttered out my thanks, and he exited my room. He was a miracle doctor because he stopped and saw me. Those moments are worth everything to someone in a chronic illness position, and doctors everywhere should look to have those meaningful moments with patients that are clearly suffering, even if they don't understand what's going on. I know they are busy and see people all the time, but just as us patients understand that doctors are human and don't have the answers, we're human too, and chronic illness will break anyone down. Lastly, I want to share with you a personal piece I wrote a little while back to give you deeper insight into what a chronic pain patient can go through. Today, I woke up and saw a really faint smile line on my face. Never in a million years did I think I would see a smile line on my face. And let me explain. I spent a total of 3 to 4 hours screaming in a level 10 pain one day. My entire body felt like it was on fire, and all my muscles felt like they were getting shredded. My husband sat with me, encouraging me that I was going to make it through, but at the moment that seemed impossible, as it felt more like 10 hours to me. And the whole time, all I could think was if pain could kill someone, this was it. I share this not to make anyone feel sorry for me, but just to give you context. I have cried more these last few years than I have probably in my entire life. I've cried out of pain, out of loss and grief, for wanting sleep during endless sleepless nights. I've never felt the passage of time more strongly in my life than this past year. And I don't think it's something I can explain to someone unless you've been through it yourself. I have faced endless hospital admissions and invasive procedures. And the one thing that never went away was my pain. And it felt like I had nothing left for me except to constantly be cycling through these problems. So to wake up and see a faint smile line on my face was probably the biggest shock of my life, because it represents I've survived. The smile line, like all my scars, are the mark of a warrior who has triumphed, because I haven't given up despite the ridiculous amount of life-threatening things my body has gone through. I've lived to see the natural result of a face that has kept expressing joy even through the pain. Which leads me to my most important point. It means I'm still smiling. It means that I'm still laughing. It means that I've actually smiled more than I've cried, since I don't see frown lines on my face yet. It's been a huge awakening for me to see that there is still more waiting for me in this life. Pain has not, in fact, been the underlying emotion. It has more recently actually been joy. But for a time, I did stop recognizing the girl looking back at me in the mirror. I used to be a bright, bubbly girl who loved to do absolutely anything and everything. I did gymnastics, theater, sports, you name it. I would talk to anyone and I wasn't afraid of strangers. But when you're in and out of hospitals as much as I have been, you learn to fear strangers. You never know what kind of person you're going to get to take care of you in your most vulnerable moments. And because of that, it's so easy to lose yourself. But when I saw that smile line, I saw her again. She's been there the whole time. She's just been going through some really, really hard things. I don't think anyone will understand the depth of pain and sorrow and the hurt that my soul has felt through all of this. And I don't think there are even words to describe it. But today I have hope, and it brings me joy. It brings a smile to my face. It motivates me to want to keep going because I still have so much work to do. To those medical specialists who are bravely and truly striving to help us struggling victims of misunderstood problems, thank you. Thank you for fighting for me and for every other patient out there like me, and for getting me here today. Hopefully, I can continue to find those miracle doctors, or as I like to call them, the zebra ones, the rare ones, who take the time to see the patient behind the file, so that I can continue to have a lot more tomorrows. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your smile. And I know everyone keeps saying they're nervous, but I'm starting to think everyone is a professional speaker up here secretly. Very impressive. So thank you again, Rachel. Now we are going to bring up Ava to speak. So Ava Zanuck, please come on up.
Hi there. Wow, it's hard to go after Ethan and Rachel, but here I go. Good evening. My name is Ava Zanuck. I'm a freshman at Skyline High School and I'm 15 years old. I've been on this undiagnosed diagnostic odyssey since I was 3 years old. I have 2 siblings that suffer from an undiagnosed disease as well. Lucy is here tonight. Hi, Lucy. Oscar's at home due to the sensory overload he experiences in large crowds. As you all just heard my mom speak earlier about the RDAC, I'm in awe of her perseverance. Doctors have told her that most people would be in bed all day if they had the same complex medical condition that she suffers from. Thank you, Mom, for being such an inspiration to me. Well, on to my journey and story. Next slide, please. Thank you. I was born full term as a healthy baby in New Jersey in June of 2007. My mom had to have a C-section, and it ultimately started her adult onset disease process. My mom and I spent all of our time together while my dad traveled internationally a lot for his job as a sports agent. As my mom mentioned, he is currently the GM of the Utah Jazz. I'm also going to say go Jazz. I lived 3 healthy years before we realized there was something different about me. Oh, next slide, sorry. I look back at all of those happy memories and photographs and dream of the day I was healthy. Imagine that you only get 3 years of good health, and they are the 3 years you don't really remember because you were too young. I'm going to take a moment and cherish those photos and those 3 years. At 3 years old, we discovered an arachnoid cyst in my head. It usually isn't a big deal. Most people can live their entire life without an issue. I'll explain more about why it turned into a very big deal in a few minutes. Next slide, please. At 5 years old, the Mayo Clinic told my mom, Oscar, Lucy, and me that we all suffered from an undiagnosed genetic dysfunction, an undiagnosed autonomic neuropathy. My parents gave up their dream of having 4 children. The autonomic nervous system is everything you do naturally. This includes breathing, heart rate, temperature control, my skin, my digestive, circulatory, and immune systems. Next slide. I like this slide. It's one of the most important ones for me. Invisible, chronic, undiagnosed, rare disease. Can you see my sickness? I can't see it when I look in the mirror. I can't see it when I look at my sister, my brother, or my mother. I think having an invisible disease process is really challenging on a lot of levels. I think having a chronic illness is really challenging too. It is a very intense struggle of having to not only continually explain myself to every new doctor and institution, but also to be told that I'm crazy just because you can't see my sickness. I apologize in advance. The next slide is hard to see. Next slide. So this is what my diagnostic odyssey looked like. I spent both my 5th and 6th birthdays away from home and in a hospital bed. Not fun. I underwent 4 cranial surgeries during the summer of 2013. I am shunt dependent. I have too many things wrong with me to list in my 10-minute speech. Next slide. What I would like to focus on is exhaustion, the physical and emotional exhaustion. My physical ailments have evidence, the potential to show up on a scan. The mental toll taken on me. Do I just press it? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
The mental toll taken on me and the people who are going through the same thing can't be seen. My health is already walking a fine line, but when it comes with prioritizing school, friends, family, and sleep, it becomes a very delicate balancing act. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. So how does school work? I'm just going to be honest here. It really doesn't. Having a 504 plan since kindergarten helps during elementary school and junior high. I'm very lucky to have one. High school is a whole different landscape. It's very intense. This year alone, I've had COVID twice, RSV twice, and the flu once. Winters are already hard as is, but I have to keep up the same pace and workload even when I'm struggling. I've had a modified schedule since 6th grade. I still can't keep up. I crash from even the slightest physical exertion, which means I need to sleep my weekends away. What does that leave me? I constantly have to think about the risk versus the reward. I have to choose between living my life and staying healthy, and yet I'm still not healthy either way. So far, I've cried and fought and mourned for the health I don't have. It's not sustainable. All I can do is get up every morning and push through. Our family motto is to have perseverance. And next slide. My mom was told by a neurologist when I was 5 years old, living in Chicago. The doctor went on to explain that I would never receive the root cause of my disease process. They would only be able to treat the symptoms. That was 10 years ago. Imagine being told at the ripe age of 5 years old that your disease process would never be fixed. Imagine that for some reason, despite being a literal child, you were chosen to be different from everyone else. Constantly trying to justify the reasoning behind the cards I've been dealt is a difficult endeavor in and of itself. I was told to just deal with it. I once told a room full of freshman medical students that science says there will be 25 plus years before they will be able to figure out my root cause. I told them I dare them to live in my body for 2 hours and see if they could handle it. I said that at age 10, 5 years ago. Next slide, please. So now for the future outlook. Well, Ethan, Rachel, and Kingston give me hope. Dr. Laura Pace and Metrodora give me hope. Laura was the first doctor ever in my journey to look me in my eyes and tell me that she doesn't care what my diagnosis is, but that she cares about me and my body. She gives me hope. Recursion gives me hope too. Everyone here listening to the 4 of us on this panel tonight gives me hope. It's hard to accept that this is my life, but one thing it has granted me is a way to see the world in a more empathetic light. The stories and voices of the undiagnosed and rare community resonate greatly with me. I want to uplift those stories so that real change can be made. Together, we can speed up those 25 plus years. Look around the room. That's why we're here. Next slide. I am hopeful because I believe science and genomics will catch up. Maybe not in my mom's lifetime, but I'm hopeful for Lucy, Oscar, and myself. I'm hopeful because I'm surrounded by one of the fiercest advocates I've ever met, my mom. I'm hopeful because of the continued support and love I feel every single day from our family and my friends. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey tonight.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have Kingston Atwater. So everyone give a round of applause to Kingston.
Sorry, I'm not sure if I can be as amazing as these 3 up here, but I'll try my best. So my name is Kingston Outwater, and I'd like to quickly say that I really appreciate this opportunity to speak today and share with you stuff about my sister, Asia. I was born into a life of rare, so I've never really not known rare. Even though I'm not the patient or the one with a rare diagnosis or in need of a diagnosis, I have lived my entire life with an older sister who is rare. Asia is 2 years older than me, but even though she's older, she's always felt like more of a baby sister. My mom shares stories of how Asia, after I was born, would try to sit on me, hit me, scratch me, throw things at me, and pull my hair. Even to this day, I can remember having my hair pulled and getting scratched all the time. It bugged my parents pretty bad. But I never really knew anything different. This was my normal life, but I was always okay with it. It didn't really bug me all that much because something told me, whether it was just instinct or something else, that it was all right and that she didn't know any better. My parents started to recognize as time went on that Asia was not reaching many milestones and she was getting delayed in many areas of her life, and her list of symptoms was growing. As a baby brother, I would have to go to all of her doctor's appointments and school meetings, and I realized that as a family, there were so many things we could not do because Asia was limited. Sorry. And yeah, it was frustrating all the time. We had to watch her move 24/7, so it wasn't easy. She would destroy my things like artwork I had made or rip pictures out of books or pages out of books, and honestly toss around anything she could get her hands on. There was one time on a road trip when we were leaving a hotel parking lot about to head for home. I was sitting right next to Asia in the car, and just out of nowhere, she had taken her iPad and slammed it right into my nose, and it broke. I remember getting out of the car and laying on the grass on the side of the street while my nose was draining blood. And all I can remember thinking was that it's not her fault. It's not her fault. She didn't understand. And I just kept telling myself that. After this, my mom really worried about me, so she had forced me to go to therapy. I didn't want to go, but I tried to tell my mom that I understood Asia didn't know. She was too worried, and so I had to go. She thought that my relationship with my sister felt abusive and that she didn't want it to ruin the way I felt about her. My parents tried to give me the most normal life possible, living with a sibling that had so many needs, and she was always super, oh wait, nope, sorry, wrong part. I knew that Asia was special, so it didn't matter what she did to me, even while my homework and dinner would be destroyed. I loved her too much to ever hate her. She loved to tease me and dance with me, and she was always super excited when I'd play dress up with her in her room. Mom says there's nothing she loved more than to spend one-on-one time with me, and I know she loved me. I was one of her best friends, and it was really hard to see her going through difficult times. Asia had received a diagnosis of 2q23.1 microdeletion syndrome at the age of 7. It didn't change a lot for us because it was a very, very rare diagnosis, so nothing was really known about it. There was no cure or medications to help her, so there wasn't anything doctors could do. Life continued the same, except for now we knew the cause of so many symptoms and behaviors. Today would be the 6-month mark of Asia's passing on August 20th, 2022. My sister passed away quietly at home. It was pretty unexpected for us, and our house has been so much quiet without her every single day. I really do miss her getting excited when I come home or sharing snacks with her. She always wanted to go for a ride, jump on the tramp, or have a dance party. And I grew to understand and realize the struggle these people go through and what it's like. But I also realized, more importantly, the happiness and joy that can come from having someone with a rare disease in your life. There was so many hard times, more than I could possibly count, but in the end, I wouldn't change a single thing. Asia will always and forever be a role model because even though she was different, she was kind to everyone. I guess somewhere down the line, she began to understand hurting me and my brother was wrong. Everywhere we went, whether it be the park, store, doctor's office, dentist, or anywhere else, Asia was a friend to everyone, no matter what they were like, who they were. And yeah, not everyone has the same needs or support. siblings of rare patients are often neglected or misunderstood in ways their parents didn't even realize. The need for sibling support by others that can understand is very real, and of a similar age means a lot. Losing a sibling that requires so much attention can leave a family with members not knowing what to do, like what's normal. After Asia passed away, I received a lot of support from friends and family. I was also offered support in a grief group at school, even if I didn't need it. The things discussed in that class are private, but the experience has meant a lot to me, knowing that others share a familiar pain. We can empathize and talk together in an easier manner. And I can share my sister's story to others, even if we don't grieve the same. I would love to see more support for rare siblings, maybe in the community or statewide. Just because I feel like I didn't need therapy doesn't mean no one else does. There are siblings out there that need support. I'm so grateful for these things I've learned from Asia, and I miss her so much and hope her life continues to influence others as it does mine. We would now like to ask for a moment of silence to remember all of those rare and undiagnosed angels we have lost. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Kingston, for your words. And I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone in this room, but those were some of the most incredible speeches I've heard in a long time. So I think this group deserves a round of applause. Thank you for sharing your story. And if there's any comments or questions that people have for this group of advocates, we are also happy to take questions or comments if anyone wants to react to any of the things said this evening. It's absolutely okay if we're speechless because those speeches were incredible. All right. Yes. Do you want answers? Yeah, what would be, yeah, how do we keep smiling, and what would you want people to know in the audience?
That's I know it talked about like positivity and remaining positive, but my mentality when I got diagnosed is that like I'm going to own up to this. I have a rare disease. It's part of it's genetic. It's as part of me as it can be. So I'm going to own up to it. I'm going to live with it. I am going to be, I guess, the best person I can with this. And it's kind of grown with me, and I think that's the best way I can put it at this point.
I would agree. I think you talked a little bit about it in your speech where I think it's because I have so much hardship or trials or whatever you want to call it that I find it so important to try and keep smiling, and especially with losing a couple of friends, I almost hold it as like a responsibility that I have to keep finding joy. I have to keep living my life like they would want me to live. So, and I have an amazing support system. So
I think I would heavily agree. Waking up every day and, feeling as bad as I do on some days, especially, it can be really hard to find reasons to keep going. But my family and my friends and the continued support from the community always makes me strive to, one, find the good in everything, and two, help others with the journey that I've gone through. So Yeah.
After Asia died, it was hard, but I knew she wouldn't want me to stop smiling. She was always so positive and kind to everyone. It influenced me and it made me want to be happy and, be kind to everyone. So I've tried my best.
If you're asking specifically, so I always joke that me and my husband are soulmates and we're absolutely meant to be because we got married on Rare Disease Day and that was not planned. Like it just happened. And his name is Ethan and I'm Rachel. So our initials are ER and I spend a lot of time in ERs. So yeah. What? Right. I was leap day, rare day, February 29th. So on on not leap day years, we celebrate the 28th and the 1st.
Excellent. Well, that's a great note to end it on, the Q&A. And again, I want to thank this group. It is not easy getting up in front of a bunch of people and speaking. So thank you so much. And round of applause and whew, part is done. You've done it. And now we're going to have closing remarks before our reception. And I'd like to invite Andy Tyre to come up and speak. Andy.
Thank you. I was so looking forward to coming and I had absolutely no fear until or intimidation until you all spoke. You guys are really a tough act to follow. But what's most compelling to me is just your stories, your perseverance, and your attitude. You've inspired me. You've inspired everybody in the room, but you've really inspired me. Let's hear it for these guys. So who am I? Again, I'm Andy Tyre. I am the CEO of ARUP Laboratories. ARUP Laboratories is a medical diagnostic lab that you've been waiting for that test result. Sometimes it's been at our lab and we're doing the best we can to get it to you as fast as we can. I'll tell you, I've got a little bit of news though today. Well, it's not necessarily news, but maybe some excitement to share. So let's see if I can advance the slides effectively. And I'm doing it backwards. And now I'm not doing it at all. Go with this. Yeah, now I'm going too far. Okay. So meet Woodward, or what it really goes by is Woody. So let me tell you a little bit about Woody's. There's a rare disorder. It's GAMT, which is a deficiency that is caused by a problem with the creatine, and it's potentially resulting in cognitive impairments that can be severe if not treated early. Now, Woody, what makes him so unique is he was born in December of 2020 and was the first infant it was identified with some newborn screening testing that was put in as a panel for Utah. And it was one of the first times that we had this in the screen, and he was the first patient diagnosed. Now, as I said before, this diagnosis, if treated early, becomes, I don't want to say a non-issue, but a very treatable, a treatable condition. And Woody was treated and is thriving and doing just really great. So how this came to be is a couple of a PhD and an MD. This is a couple, Marzia Pasquale, whom I've known for years and is almost as perseverant as each of you. And as you're a really strong personality as well, in a good way. I mean that in a good way. Persuasive. That would be Marzia, and I've worked with her for years. She's a PhD. She's married to an MD PhD, Dr. Nicola Longo, and they are just advocates for rare disease and for work in this area. They're the ones that worked so hard to get this screening in place in the state of Utah, and have now worked hard to have have a federal recommendation for uniform screening panel that is laying the groundwork for the screening that can happen so early, and in this particular case can be diagnosed and treated. And really some fantastic work. So here is Heidi Wallace, and I don't know if Heidi is here. I didn't know if she was going to be here. Okay, she's so involved in this group, so I didn't know if she was going to. Heidi has children with GAMT deficiency, and Sam now is 19, who was not diagnosed until 5, and has suffered some cognitive impairment. However, Lewis, now 11, and was treated and prevented some of these long-term effects. So just another example of some really good work that's going on, and unfortunately one that was missed, but at least diagnosed at a later time. So let's tell you a little bit about ARUP. When we talk about some of the great companies that are here in Utah and how it's growing, ARUP was started in 1983 with operations really started in I guess 84. And I joined ARUP in 1991. So I've seen a lot of the change that's happened. What's exciting to me is I'm not here to talk about ARUP. I'm here to talk about the medical community that is really focused in this area, that are doing great things, despite some of the challenges that each of you face. And you know, I learned today that a routine physician, when they see a patient, they actually have no more than 2.5 minutes to read a chart before they see a patient. That's just not enough time to really, you know, especially in a situation where you've got difficult things. And so we've got a lot of work to do in our healthcare community, but you know, the doctors are doing great work. They're putting under such pressure. And I'm not here to defend them. I'm just saying that it's a really tough situation. And when I heard your stories, it just made me think about this impossible task, that what you face every day and what they face every day. And anyway, anything we can do to help this community work together, because it really is, and that's really what I wanted to leave. What we have is we have a community of some fantastic, some of the most brightest minds in the world that are working on this, and it takes a village. And we are a part of that village. You are a part of the village for helping us to understand why we get up and do this hard work every day. And gosh, I didn't expect to get emotional, but thank you for what you've done for me today. And I'm the person that is standing between you and some good food. So let me end by saying thank you for allowing me to be here and being a part of this, and thank this fantastic panel and really everybody in this room for making such an impact on our community and advancing what we need to do to deal with rare disease and help with these diagnoses. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy, so much. And I cannot believe it, but we are on time, which is unbelievable. And we're going to have refreshments and some networking for the next half hour, 45 minutes. Please connect with one another. I think we've shown today, public, private, patients, everyone coming together for this cause and for this special day. And I want to thank Metrodora Institute, which was mentioned, but a round of applause for them and their sponsorship as well. I want to call them out. And just to end things, it's most of the events that we put on at Recursion, it can be very corporate at times. And Gina's email signature says "with love" on it. And she's the only person I interact with in my job that has a "with love." And I will say after this evening, it's with love that this is a really special community. We are so honored to support, and it's just been amazing. So thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and we hope to see you very soon. So refreshments. Thank you very much.